Thank you. Mr. Allen, could you review the agenda for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, we'll have public comment and then approval of the minutes from the previous meeting on February 27th. My report on the status of the ballot certification and the Supreme Court case that was resolved only late last week, logic and accuracy testing, the first mailing of ballots, general preparations for drop boxes, and logic and accuracy testing, a polling place change that needs to be approved. We discussed it at the last meeting, but it could not be voted on at the last meeting because of timing issues with posting notices. Some new issues that have surfaced in Chester City that'll affect 4 precincts at 2 polling place locations. A motion by the board to authorize myself and staff to be able to make decisions on processing mail absentee ballots, emergency polling place changes, and other emergency election administration related decisions as needed for the conduct of the April 23 primary. We have no campaign finance waiver requests. Next meeting, and it looks like we will need to have it, is tentatively set for April 9.
All right. Mr. Alberts, any comment or changes or additions to the agenda?
Me.
All right. With that, we'll entertain public comment.
Good morning, Karis Coker, Concord Township. I have a couple of questions that may be more appropriate for the voter registration. You can let me know. I'm not sure. That is on the full voter export report in Delaware County. Does that include the confidential voter, not their ID, of course, but does it include in its number the confidential voters that are in Delaware County?
Yeah, I mean, that does sound like a question for the Voter Registration Commission.
Okay, all right, fine. Then on another note, I am concerned about proceeding with the poll pads, considering things that have even more recently, within the last couple of weeks, come to light regarding No Ink, Be Pro, and the dreadful security concerns with using those. And I know you're in the middle of the process. It was initiated because the state recommendation, which they withdrew. So I wish that you would put this on hold here in Delaware County until those concerns have time to be addressed before making a full change. And I would that there was more reality to the claims for transparency than PR work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Jill Fenninger, Radnor Township, Ward 31. On March 21st, I wrote an email to what I hoped was the Board of Elections, but I don't think you guys got it. So I'll tell you my comment now. I'll read it to you. There's no good time to change polling places, I realize, but I've lived in Radnor Township for 10 years, and I am a poll greeter, usually there at 7 a.m. till the polls close. The obnoxious people who say, "Hi, thank you for coming out to vote. Would you like a sample ballot? Do you have any questions?" Some people like to come and gather and meet with their neighbors, and others are there. They have a purpose and they get out. Of all the times to change polling places, this seems to me the most inopportune, only because it's in between. You will, I know, notify voters about the changes in polling places, but invariably, human nature being what it is, they won't read it. And I'm afraid we may disenfranchise some voters. They may come. I don't have time to go to another polling place about. Ideally, I see it happening next year before the primary being kind of a dry run. But since it wasn't able to happen by April, I just feel on a presidential election, it would cause some chaos, some confusion, some hostility. And that's the last thing I want to happen, because I want everyone who can vote to vote. So thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment at this point? All right, hearing none. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the February 27th, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion on the motion?
Nope.
If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes do have it. The Director of Elections report, Mr. Allen.
Good morning, board members. Much of our time has been focused on various projects. Voter registration completed the acceptance testing for the poll pads so that we're positioned to have the electronic poll books in all 428 precincts. In some cases, there'll be 2 in the larger precincts. Crystal Winterbottom and Michelle Denardis' team just did an awesome job rolling up their sleeves and getting through that process to verify that the equipment was in sound shape, that it was all operable, there were no missing parts, what have you. And that's a process that they executed in the span of just a few days after they arrived. Next up, we've been kind of sidelined this election with a rather protracted case involving candidate Vadvarka for the U.S. Senate. Now, several counties, and I understand why they did it, went ahead with the printing and the programming of their ballots and their balloting equipment with candidate Vadvarka's name on, with the plan then, if the Supreme Court ruled that the candidate be off the ballot, they were going to hand voters notices or include notices in the materials with the vote by mail ballots. We consulted with our solicitors and asked them to do an assessment of how solid the appellate court decision, rather the Commonwealth Court decision, appeared to be, so that we could determine as best as we can if there was a likelihood of this case being overturned or not, meaning Vadvarka's name being put back on. So, and additionally, we consulted with you, Mr. McBlain, as far as any insights you were hearing from any campaigns who were the objectors in that case. And I think we took the smart course, and that was to wait out to see what the Supreme Court did. So a lot of other counties are going to be dealing with notices and, telling people that even though Vadvarka's name is on the ballot, no votes for Vadvarka will be counted. And then some of them are even adding in language about write-in, I'm really pleased that we stuck it out and we did the right thing and waited for the Supreme Court. It set us back on logic and accuracy. So Jackie's team has focused more and more on training the workers so that they're ready, so that when we begin logic and accuracy today, they can hit the ground running. It may not be possible to meet the April 8th deadline, but they're going to do everything they can to do so, including working on Good Friday. So I'm very pleased that the warehouse team understands the need to get the right ballot to the voters in this instance. So I don't know if there are any comments on that, but I think we did the right thing in not having to hand notices to voters. There could be tons of confusion with that. Democratic voters might get the Republican notice and think, well, where's this guy's name on the ballot? So anyway, I don't know if there are any comments.
Do you have any comment? I'll briefly just say, I want to thank Mr. Allen and his staff. I think they did the right thing here. They were exactly on top of this Supreme Court decision. And on Friday afternoon, within probably 30 minutes of the decision coming out, Mr. Allen and his team moved to have the test ballots printed so that we could begin with the logic and accuracy testing today, I think, right?
Yes.
So they were right there. And I agree with them that, they made the right decision in terms of, not causing confusion or taking a shortcut to just put all names on the ballot and then come back later and have to post notices that these people aren't on the ballot. So they timed it perfectly, and and that was due to a lot of effort on Mr. Allen and his team's part. So I congratulate them.
I'll just add, I want to thank Jim for keeping us informed. Reached out to all of us individually to kind of take our temperature on what we thought of this and keep us informed of where they were going with this. And I think we agree with John. We had a very good outcome. So thank you.
Well, it was a team effort on everybody's part, and we appreciate the consultation we received from our legal counsel, Manley Parks, and his team in doing the analysis too on the Commonwealth case. So thank you. Turned out to be on the money. Next up, logic and accuracy testing, as we referenced, is beginning today at the warehouse. We also conducted yesterday an optional test, but we notified the observers who have expressed an interest in watching this. It's called hash testing. And hash testing means you're verifying the software and that it's exactly the software that was approved by the Federal Election Assistance Commission. So each component is supposed to use a certain software, a certain version of the software for tabulating the votes. And that software then has an elaborate hash. And the hash is like a fingerprint, a computer fingerprint that helps you identify that nothing has changed in the program whatsoever. If you change the program, even the tiniest way, that hash will change. So then you take the hash, and it's a long string of characters and numbers and symbols, and you match that through software that's approved by the Election Assistance Commission against the hash that is supposed to be used. And it's just one more safeguard to verify that the equipment is operating on the software. There's a lot of speculation that the equipment is vulnerable to being hacked. So we randomly select 2% of the precincts. We pull out that equipment. The warehouse helps pull the hashes. We load those onto a computer and we do a comparison, and we'll publish the results of the hash testing on the website. We also provide the hashes to the observers so that they can do their own comparison on their own if they so choose. Next, the Vodvarka case obviously set us back in terms of the certification of the ballots, and we are working with the vendor. We're hoping that we can have the first mailing of ballots on or about April 3rd. The first time that we do drop the mail ballots, we have approximately 34,000 in the queue right now. So the team in the Bureau of Elections at the Union Power Plant has done an amazing job keeping up with this and making sure that they're going through all the addresses and looking for any kind of flaws to make sure that that we have maximum deliverability. We'll open up the government center drop box the first day that we do a mailing to the voters. And then we'll open the 3 dozen or so community drop boxes on Monday, April 8th, which is 15 days before Election Day, and also the deadline for anybody who needs to update their registration, file a name change, file an address change, or register for the first time. April 8th is the deadline. Next up, we acted to remove the drop box at Rose Valley, in Rose Valley at the Hedgerow Theater. There were camera problems with that at that site, and the camera issues would be costly to repair. Additionally, the added consideration was that there are drop boxes in neighboring communities, Nether Providence, here in Media, also in Swarthmore. And this particular drop box based on the data that we've kept over the years, it was one of the least used. So the decision was pretty straightforward. We notified officials in Rose Valley and at Hedgerow Theater that we removed the drop box, and we're also including a note in the mail-in materials that drop box has been closed. Next up, we have 2 precinct relocations. They're in Darby Township 5-1 and 5-2. They were in a government building, but Jackie, if you want to come up, we discussed this briefly, but we had not been able to post the notice 5 days before the last meeting. So that's why these had to be postponed and acted on today.
Good morning.
Hi there. This is my technician, Olin.
Good morning.
Okay. All right, last meeting, I was hoping to propose Darby Township 5-1 and 5-2 to go back to its old location, which was the Briar Cliff Fire Company, but now is Delaware County Community Center. We were just not able to post the signs before the last meeting. Since then, we have posted those signs, so I would like to make a recommendation to move Darby Township 5-1 and 5-2 from its current location, which was the Darby Township Municipal Building at 211 Bartram Avenue, to Delaware County Community Center located at 767 Beach Avenue. We have a couple polling sites that are having issues with their location. We are unable to use 2 locations. At this point, we were just notified Thursday of this. Olin here, he's been out on the streets looking for options and calling possibilities. And we do have 2, hopefully, places that will be able to, host those precincts. But however, we're not able to get a hold of anyone yet. Olin will again today call and go out there and hopefully connect with someone to be able to move Chester City 1-2 and 1-8 and Chester City 2-4 and 5-2, which is the 2-4 and 5-2 are the Sun Village Maintenance Garage, and Chester City 1-2 and 1-8 is the Chester Park Barn. The roof is totally unacceptable. This building's not safe to use, has structural problems. So I don't have anything more than that on those precincts.
Okay. So why don't we handle item 6G, the recommendation to relocate the polling places in Darby Township 5-1 and 5-2 to the new Delaware County facility in the former firehouse. Is there a motion to approve that relocation?
So moved.
And I will second. Any discussion on the motion?
Nope.
If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes do have it. And then we don't have to take any action on the Chester City one at this point. Perhaps our April 9th meeting will be there.
Thank
All
you.
right. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Next up, I just wanted to make reference to the poll worker training has begun in earnest. And since we're introducing the electronic poll books in all precincts, the poll pad training has been incorporated by Pam Lairdson and her team in every single training session. In fact, this room is configured right now for one of our training sessions that'll occur later today. And additionally, we had our first open house this past Saturday. I believe we'll have 2 more. And the open house gives the poll workers more hands-on time and explanation with our technicians from the warehouse, and it allows them to see how to set up the equipment or go through a refresher, if you will. So all of our poll workers have different learning styles. Some are visual and some are tactile, and some can read it in a book. And this allows the people who are visual and tactile to get their hands on the equipment long before Election Day and to see how to set it up properly and how to properly guide the voters through the process. So That's all I have, other than the next item is a motion that we're asking the board to make to authorize the elections director to be able to make decisions on processing mail and absentee ballots, make emergency polling place changes, and make other emergency election administration related decisions as needed for the orderly conduct of the April 23rd, 2024 primary.
Is there a motion to grant that authorization?
So moved.
I will second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes do have it.
Okay, given that we have no campaign finance waivers, the only other item is to possibly meet on April 9th.
All
And
right. And then is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. So we'll begin the voter registration commission agenda.
yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to invite Crystal Winterbottom to give the latest report as far as where we are on
While Ms. Winterbottom makes her way up, we'll first entertain public comment. So I believe, Ms. Coker, did you have a question in regards to,
well, we can
No, no.
answer that question. I think the numbers that you see do include confidential voters. So people who are, maybe under some kind of protective order, and they need to keep their registration.
I don't have numbers right now, but they are in registered numbers. If you receive totals from the state, I don't know what kind of reports you have. The federal, the full voter. That would include the full voter export for Delaware County would include the so there's different sections of confidential. There's confidential that their names are listed. There's some voters that are on the address confidentiality program. Their names aren't listed, but they are listed in those totals. The only ones that are not listed in a full voter export are federal voters or canceled voters. Yeah.
Ms. Winterbottom, would it be fair to say that the number relative to the overall voter registration rolls is exceedingly small, like a fraction of 1%? I think that's.
I don't know how many we have confidential, but yes, it's under 100. On different sections of voters. I really don't know the exact number.
So even if you were failing to remember a category right now and it were 200 or 300, overall, we have more than 400,000 voters, correct?
407,000
Thank you.
we have, yes. Good morning. So just some updates. So April 8th is our last day to register, make changes to the voter registration. So as of today, or this was as of yesterday, the voter registration department processed just under 30,000 applications since the general November election last year. We've had just over 400 registration drive applications. That's through mail or dropped off at the counter. A lot of others were between all the counties that were forwarded to us or just regular registration applications dropped off or just through the mail separately. We have about 407,595 registered voters as of yesterday. Out of that, the just under 30,000 applications that we processed, about a little over 8,000 are new registrations. We've been getting our poll pads ready, all our election supplies ready for election day. We have seen an uptick in the mail coming in. Mostly Mondays are our biggest days from the weekend. That's about all I have for today. Unless you have questions.
Mr. Albertson?
No.
Well, thank you, Ms. Winterbottom.
Thank you.
Mr. Allen, is there anything further for the good and welfare of the order?
No, there is not, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Parks, we didn't get to call on you at all today, anything
Nothing
from
fine
your
by
end?
me and nothing to add.
Okay, great. Mr. Alberts, anything else?
What happens if I decline to make a motion to adjourn? We just hang out forever.
Yes, I guess, till people leave and we lose a quorum.
I think we should avoid that. I think I'll make a motion to adjourn if it's in order.
Great. I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone, for coming out.